Islam, 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 and of course, welcome to another edition of the Moorish Lights, where the podcast is a revolution. Okay, let's begin as we always should with the Moorish American prayer. Islam, Islam, Islam. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. So, once again, Islam, Islam, Islam. And welcome to another edition of the Moorish Lights, where the revolution is a podcast. We begin by giving praises to the Almighty God, Allah, the causeless cause and the rootless root from which all things have grown. We give honor to the last prophet in this dispensation, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, in the first, second, and third form. I give honor to Grand Sheikh John Givens Hill, who built upon the foundation laid by the founder. I give a special honor to my teacher, Grand Sheikh Richardson Dingle Eel, Prophet Noble Drew Ali III, as well as to his brother Timothy Dingle Eel hyphen, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Moses and God Man, or Prophet and God Man, or God Man and Prophet, however that works for you. Um, I give honor to Marcus Messiah Garvey, the forerunner of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, as well as to the great emancipator Abraham Lincoln. Honors, honors to Grand Sheik Ronald Thornhill and his wife. And honors to our current Grand Sheikess, State Grand Sheikess, National Grand Sheikess Tiffany Jones Beck. Islam and welcome to the Moorish Light. Shining light, clearing up the confusion, and teaching the basic facts. Our objective is unity and manifesting the ultimate goal of the Moorish movement. We're not going to dispute Charters, who is the Supreme Grand Sheik. We are here to establish a basic foundation of the Moorish movement and love and understanding. And since the title of the program is the Moorish Light, it is only right that I define light. Spiritually, light symbolizes knowledge, truth, divine presence, hope, guidance, and purity, representing awareness, the pathway from spiritual darkness, ignorance, and sin towards enlightenment, goodness, and union with the divine, and appearing across cultures as God's creation and a wisdom or guiding force for humanity. It signifies wisdom, life, revelation, and the illumination of the spirit within. So, once again, that's the Moorish Light. And as always, I begin my programs reading from the Holy Quran of Mecca. This is Surah 3, Ayats 105 through 108. And it says, "Be not like those who are divided amongst themselves and fall into disputations after receiving clear signs. For them is a dreadful penalty." So the prophet did bring us clear signs. but we somehow fallen into disputations. And it goes on to say, on a day when some faces will be lit up with white, and some faces will be in the gloom of black. To those whose faces will be black will be said, did ye reject faith after accepting it? Taste then the penalty for rejecting faith. And it goes on to say the face or waj expresses our personality, our inmost being. White is the color of light. To become white is to be illumined with the light, which stands for the felicities and rays of the glorious light of Allah. In our questionnaire, one of the questions is, what does white? It doesn't say what white. White means purity, purity means God, and God means the ruler of the land. Then we get into the other side. It says black is the color of darkness, sin, rebellion, misery, removal from the grace and light of Allah. These are the signs of heaven and hell. The standard of decision in all questions is the justice of Allah. But those whose faces will be lit with white, they will be in the light of Allah, Allah's mercy, therein to dwell forever. These are the signs of Allah. We rehearse them to thee in truth. And Allah means no injustice to any of his creatures. So as we talk about as we talk about I'm trying to find the right words, as we talk about, I'll say, duality, we also have to look at the fact that we function under a plantation concept of black and white. We've been taught to believe
Islam. Hear me
he is
okay?
white and we black, meaning that he's claimed the superior position and we've claimed the inferior position. Well, a prophet came to teach us that we are not inferior and we are not in an inferior position. But he came to teach us first to reset our minds, which requires every Moorish American should study. Every Moorish American should know Act 6. Um, Off the dial plate, when someone, I was taught you should be able to say Act 6 on your nationality card whenever an officer demands so. So if you haven't gotten that under your belt, I would
Islam.
suggest you
You hear
do it.
me okay?
There's a spiritual growth in it, and I would suggest that you do learn Act 6 and your nationality card. Moving right along, let's talk about what our topic is today. And um, and our topic today is the two United States of America. And there are two. And we're going to talk about that today. And we're going to start with one. One is developed under the radical Republicans' Reconstruction motto. That motto is that the Southerner had the constitutional right to be damned, the divine right to be hung, and has no rights that a Negro was bound to respect. So when you hear that, what do you think the atmosphere of the South was? Because you had 27 non-slaveholders to one slaveholder, European. So how do you think the atmosphere developed? So the radical Republicans went and they created, not diversity, wrong word, animosity. They took us, those of us, some of us from right straight from the plantation, put a suit on us and put us in Congress representing the South. Historically speaking, one of the states went $5 million in debt because remember now you had your scallywags and your carpetbaggers who came down south to help to rehabilitate it. So once again, this is the motto. The Southerner had the constitutional right to be to right to be damned, and a divine right to be hung, and has no rights a Negro was bound to respect. Can you think of the state of mind and the transition that's going on here? First, we're building adversity. We're building hatred because we're punishing one group and giving another group what was already guaranteed to the other group. So we have the Southerner who should have been paid for his property because that was one of the terms of surrender. His state should have been restored. Then you had us who were supposed to go through a naturalization slash nationalization process, restoring us back to our birthrights. This did not happen. So let's look at some of the incidents of the United States under this particular motto. There is black and white America. They ignored slavery and created a platform of discrimination. Civil rights, which is equality by imitation. So that means that instead of being your original self, you're only doing what your so called slave master did, whether it's beneficial to your people or not. You're carrying on the same platform. And then we have a tendency to get angry with people when they come in and follow the system that mistreats us, and we decide we're going to mistreat the people instead of changing the system. We have it is steeped in hatred and racism. Now, in order, racism is a product of slavery. Somehow or another, it has moved into like this social status. Well, it's not a social status. When you cry racism, you are actually saying somebody is your master. Let me see I'm trying to put it so you get a clear picture. You're saying somebody is your master, your superior, and for some of us, we think if we beat up a European, we have accomplished something. No, you need to change the system that creates the mindset. But first, you have to change yours. Um, then we have envy. We have envy, and that envy is between men and women, women and children, men and children. Always at odds with each other. Always a problem. No self-respect. We have history as a belief or an assumption. We will take history and we'll just put black on it, and that's supposed to make it black history. Well, no, that's disrespectful, actually. That's not what makes history. That's not how you make history or recreate history. Then we have slander, which uh, I just learned the other day that now they call each other neggers. Neggers. It still mean nigger or nigger without the ER on it. But you're dancing around on the same plantation. You aren't going anywhere. You're reinforcing the very thing that held you as a slave. Then we have not only do we have the slave labels, they've become a norm and they are now currently institutionalized within the system itself. So when the prophet talks about mental slavery or the Negro problem, he's talking about how instead of taking us through an emancipation process, they incorporated those things that bounded us to slavery right within the system. So you run around here black and proud and you're a Negro or niggas or whatever you're saying these days, but you're still on the same old treadmill. Then we have stealing from concepts of others, misrepresentation. Some of us say we're Native Americans. That's not, we've been here. We've been here before there was an America. So, we need to truly step up to the plate. And let's see, our personal values as men and women are determined by media. If you look at our current, everybody's trying to find a fountain of youth or found a fountain of youth. Uh, Everybody's trying to be as nude as possible without being nude. Um, so our values as men and women is definitely challenged. Um, and this is all under the system with the theme. The South had the constitutional right to be damned and the divine right to be hung, and had no rights a Negro was bound to respect. Now, there's another side to this, but let's finish with this one. Um, Personal values of men and women are determined by media, especially our young folks. And then, last but not least, everything is driven through hatred. I hate this, I hate that, hate, 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 hate. And one of the things that we'll find under the other side of the government, that's not the principles. Because under this side of the government, the principles are hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything that harms. Now, I don't have you muted, but it looks like you're trying to say something, but I still cannot hear you. Let me see if this, or if I do something here, if that'll help. Nope, that didn't help. Um, Try speaking now. Okay, I have to go into my. You can put it in the chat if you like. I'm not sure what I need to do to get you to have your audio. Let me check my audio here. I'm not sure what the problem is. Islam Sister Holmes Bay, welcome to our program. Now, we're going to get to the other side. And on the other side, we have the government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth. Not the government of the parties, but the government that is of the people, by the people, and for the people. I'm not certain what is going on with this sound system or not. So, let's read. So, we had a delegation of our brothers and sisters who went to meet President Andrew Johnson. And so I want to read his response to our people. He says, I'm not quite through yet. Slavery has been abolished. A great national guarantee has been given, one that cannot be revoked. So we have a guarantee of freedom, actual freedom, let me put it that way. We have a guarantee of actual freedom. And so for some reason, we're not pursuing that. But let me go on. Let me stay on topic. It says there are those citizens. There is those true citizens for the enforcement of the free national constitution of the Republic of the United States, and understand that citizenship, there's equity in citizenships, and our divine and national instructions. Our introduction says that at some point in time we should take on the rank of a mere citizen, and our rights as men and women should be protected in the same ordinary mode as other citizens' rights. And don't you think by 2026 that's where we should be? Then the question is, why not? Um, then he goes on to say, oh, so now I'm going to have to I'm going to have to share a minute. don't know if you can see this, but I'm reading from the Divine Warning for the Nations, and because I like to verify anything that I say with what the prophet teaches. It says, I need all support from all true American citizens of the United States of America. Help me to save my people who have fallen from the constitutional laws of the government. I am depending on your support to get them back to the constitutional fold again, that they will learn to love instead of hate, and will live according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, supporting our free national Constitution of the United States of America. So he didn't say support the 14th Amendment, the fifth. That's not what he said. Because right here on the other side, he does say the 14th and 15th Amendment brought the North and South in unit, placing the Southerners who were at that time without power with the constitutional body of power. And at that time in 1865, the free national constitutional law that was in force since 1774 declared all men equal and free. And if all men are declared by the free national constitution to be free and equal, since that constitution has never been changed, there is no need for the application of the 14th and 15th Amendments for the salvation of our people and citizens. Now, some people might say that, I'm going to stop sharing. Some people might say that we're talking about rebellion. And that is not what we're doing. We're talking about historically correcting our records, historically correcting the history. That's what we're actually talking about. When Moses went to Pharaoh, what do you think he said? When when Daniel was put in the lion den, what do you think he said? Oh, I'm going to integrate and compromise. Is that what you think they said? Excuse me. So let's go on. So we talked about the Free National Constitutional Republic of the United States. That would include the proclamations of President Lincoln, and there are four. That would include the 13th Amendment with its 20 sections, which coordinates or is right in line with the proclamations. That would include restoring our birthrights. If we look at chapter 1 of our Holy Quran, it says man needs to be restored his birthrights, his heritage, his lost estate. If we go into chapter 11, it talks about heritage, estate. We need to be restored those things. If you look on your nationality card, it talks about birthrights for the Moorish Americans. There are no birthrights for Negroes, blacks, and colored folks, because that means that you with the go along crew. Not only do you go along, you set up organizations and entities where you can imitate and emulate the European. So we have to definitely reset the mindset. We're not talking about imitation. We're talking about just teaching a simple truth. Then we talked about equity and citizenship, everybody being protected under the same mode. We're talking about an actual freedom, emancipation process that never happened for our people. Because the radicals betrayed us, deceived us, so that they could complete their mission, but they left us hanging. That's why you was marching in 1960, because they left us hanging. That's why you complaining in 2026, because they left us hanging. That's why the prophet came on the scene in 1913, because they left us hanging. Literally and physically. They left us hanging. So the prophet had to come and set the record straight. That is the reason why you must understand we are a divine and national movement. Under the actual freedom emancipation process, so called slaveholders had to be paid to release us as property. Amendment 5 of the Constitution. You can't take a man's property without just compensation. Not only is he to be paid, they need to pay us as well. But you run around here for reparations. We need our land. We're the only people on the face of the earth that does not know where their land is, and they standing on it. This is not Europe. Um, Compensation monies were established with the first national banking system set up by President Lincoln. Whole system to take care of war debts. Compensation is a war debt. But since you didn't carry out any of the terms of surrender, it may appear irrelevant. The miseducation of America. There needs to be a book about it. The miseducation of America. Um, we have colonization here in what is known as Egypt of the West, between the Rockies and the Allegheny Mountains. Then we have naturalization, and naturalization is merely taking us out of property status so that we can get our nationality card, but our nationality restored to us. But the prophet had to do it in a reverse the method because the government had not stepped up to do its job. So that's why you hear us having this kind of a conflict about nationalization and naturalization. So the prophet nationalizes us so that we can go and get back into our natural status here in these United States, not just not just look for the right word, not just a status of getting along, but a status of I see I'm um, having a problem here, and you bear with me. I don't know what happened. So a lot of people might not have gotten here. I don't understand. I'm gonna work on my little technical skills here, and then there should be an educational process to restore us to our natural self as well. This is what the prophet is. He's brought us the ability to reset our minds and get back in tune, uh, historically, constitutionally, divinely, nationally, and morally. He's brought those five disciplines to us in order for us to be able to get back into the constitutional fold. And as long as we're out of order, the country is out of order. So give me a second here. I think I probably took down all of what I had. Um, I might have to read this from my phone. So there's and I'm going to be I will be I will be I keep losing my thought because I'm trying to do too many things at one time. Give me 1 second. Because I just want to, and I do a lot of reading because I do a lot of studying. So, um, and so I have discussions with AI. We share information and we build. It says the legal system invented the categories of black and white to serve as administrative tools for property distribution. To this day, government documents, financial algorithms, and legal structures group vastly different nationalities and lineages into these broad racial buckets. This maintains a system where the accumulated advantages of one group and the accumulated generational debts imposed on another continues to dictate who owns property, who gets loans, who holds power. So that's just a little bit of information that I wanted to share. Now, you can also, if you want to make a comment, you can also write in the chat, uh, Brother Jackson Bay and Sister Holmes Bay. If you want to make a comment, you can do it in the studio chat.
It's not. You hear me?
So let's talk about this just a little, these two systems. Now, one is taught in the school system, and that's the first one. Um, the Southerner had the constitutional right to be damned and the divine right to be hung, and had no rights that a Negro was bound to respect. That's taught in our school system. So, so our children are learning the same malfunctioning history that we learned. And I praise Allah because I had an opportunity to sit under the master, Grand Sheikh Richardson Dingle, who was endowed with the history of this country and what it is that we need to accomplish as a nation. Um, so I'm going to go to one of my old references because I have a few more minutes and I will be closing out this particular session, and I timed it so wrongly. So I should have did it for 7:15. But I'm going to go into, let me see if I already have it up. We could, yeah. Okay, let me go back here. Let's see if we can share this. Now, this is the conversation between Mr. Douglas and the president. Let's understand why Mr. Douglas and the colored delegation came to see the president. So it says there's a great deal of talk about the sword in one hand accomplishing it and the ballot accomplishing another at the ballot box. So think about this. If you don't control, and it's quoted in here, I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it before we close out, but if you don't control your habits, could you control your vote? We need to think of these are things that we need to ask ourselves because our people be vote, 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 vote. But then when you get in office, where's your agenda? Where is the agenda for us? Prophet Noble Drew Ali said it has an agenda for us to be restored as a nation with our birthrights, which means our land, our language, our names. And the government still has all that stuff. Yeah, they do. Don't let them fool you. They still have all that. Now, I'm going to read you something Mr. Douglas says. Mr. Douglas says, my own impression is that the very thing that Your Excellency would avoid in the southern states can only be avoided by the very measure that we propose. Now, he's talking about going down south on the plantation and giving these folks who can't read, can't write, the power to vote. Makes sense, right? Makes a lot of sense. I perceive the president has taken strong grounds in favor of a given policy, distrusting my own ability to remove any of those impressions which he has expressed. I thought we had better end the interview with an expression of thanks addressing the president. But if Your Excellency would please hear, I would like to say a word or two in regard to the one matter of enfranchisements of so-called blacks as a means of preventing the very thing which Your Excellency seems to apprehend, that is, a conflict of races. And so he's trying to convince the president that the people who are on the plantations need the right to vote. So here's Mr. Douglas again. Let the Negro once understand that he has an organic right to vote, and he will raise up a party in the southern states among the poor who will rally with him. There is this conflict that you speak of between the wealthy slaveholder and the poor man. The president, you touch right upon the point there. There is this conflict. Hence, I suggest immigration. If he cannot get employment in the South, he has it in his power. He can get to go where he can get it. And pardon the president said they were both desirous of accomplishing the same ends, but proposed to do it so by following different roads. Mr. Douglas, on turning to leave, remarked to his fellow delegates, the president sends us to the people, and we go to the people. And the president, yes, I have faith in the people. I believe they will do what is right. And I was trying. This is when I need my assistant. I should have highlighted this. But he also tells them in the same document that, because they said that the so-called master had control of everything. He said, well, if he controls your habits, won't he also control your votes? So I'm going to stop sharing this. And I'm going to, I think I'm going to close with the Gettysburg Address. I was supposed to sing a song, but I forgot. Oh, wait a minute. Before I do that, I was supposed to see if I can find it now. I was trying to find the picture. But anyway, I did. coming up, but I do. So anyway, while I'm trying to find my book. They sent me the controversy. I didn't ask you all that. Yeah, here we go. So, okay. Did they spell my name wrong on that book? This is another country, but let me share it. And so, sharing my book. Black is just a color. And somebody did spell my name wrong, and I just saw that. But anyway, um, you can purchase it on Google, Amazon, Walmart, online. So, of course, I said I am closing my program early today because I do have another class to teach. And I want to invite you out for Actual Freedom Day, September the 26th. 2026 at the Lincoln Memorial. You can attend our Holy Day services at 2900 West Pressman Street as well as 1055 North Milton Avenue. Um, and of course, you can join me for Divine and National Instructions on Sundays from 10:15 to 11:45 every Sunday except the fourth Sunday of the month. And I thank you and I appreciate you for allowing me to bring to you the Moorish lights and love and understanding. And remember to embrace the prophet, embrace Allah, embrace divine and national, embrace one another, and embrace the mission. Thank you and appreciate you for tuning in. Peace and love.